Hey guys, welcome back to Nerd Talk. Today we're going to talk about Batman comics, video games, and anything else that I feel like talking about. Um, Might help if I had a script for these videos, but I decided just talking seems to be way better than that. So let's get to it. I started um and finished the new Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight game and highly recommend. I mean, every YouTuber is recommending right now and playing it and it's so great. I beat it. I pre-ordered it and got early access version and I beat it before it came out for everyone else. So, um that is only the story. I didn't go and do like all the collectibles and stuff. I'm working on that now in my own time, and it's really enjoyable. I didn't realize how much extra stuff they put in until after I beat the game. But um, so today I think I'm gonna go over like talk about the game, what I liked about the game, um, talk about some of the references because I liked a lot of the references. Some of them might have gone over my head, but the ones that I did find were really cool. Um, and maybe talk about like things that I think would be cool to add as like DLC and stuff later because I don't know if they have plans going and doing things with this game, but they're bad, so cool. Um, so let's start from the beginning. Uh, Warning right now, spoilers for the new Lego Batman game and anything Batman related that might not know will probably pop up in this. Um, so for starters, I love DC Comics. I like comics in general, but uh, Batman and the Bat Family have just pulled me in. I really enjoy um reading about them, uh, getting to know all the different lore pieces, and I just love all of the characters. Robin is my favorite character slash title, um, because there's just so many different ones of them. I love origin of each of the Robins, and how they've evolved. My favorite, I said for the longest time, um, especially when I was watching Panda Red and learning more and more about like Jason Todd. I really like Jason Todd, but then I always end up coming back to Nightwing. Like I if if I ever got into acting or anything like that, I would love it to step in the shoes of Dick Grayson because I love the acrobat. I love his quirkiness. It feels like Spider Man in a way. Makes all of the jokes and stuff. Well, not getting like too whimsical. So um so Dick is probably my favorite. Jason I think is just cool. He's uh I mean when he becomes Red Hood, I love the darker storyline. I love the Under the Red Hood movie. Um I I'm learning more about Tim right now because and as I've watched Panda Red, he talks about the Bat Family all the time. It's like his main thing. Um so I've learned more and more about how he's like his backstory, where he came from, how he didn't start with having the necessarily tragic backstory like the other Robins did, but then he ends up falling into that. Um Damien is the one I know the least about. He's also, I think, probably my least favorite of the um 4 main Robins that I can think of. I know that Stephanie Brown was a Robin for a while. I did a lot of those ones. But I know that she's spoiler now. Uh so that's a completely different thing though. I could probably spend an entire video just talking about like what I like about all the characters and go over all of them, and maybe I'll do that. Maybe that'll be a future. But right now we're going to talk about um the game and uh and Batman because that's what we're here for. So, um to begin with, the game starts out and you actually get to go through the origin, so you play as Tiny Bruce. Um and you're getting ready to go to a movie, which is awesome that they did the accurate storyline. Uh, Instead of going to see Zorro, or I know in Batman Begins they went. I think it was just a play that they went to see. I don't know if it had a name or not. Um, but they went instead. They went to see the Grey Ghost movie because I think it pops up in more stuff. I'm not. I like comics, but I'm not well versed on like the lore of comics. I'm trying to get more into that. Um, but I know in the animated series, Grey Ghost was like Bruce's childhood hero kind of thing. So I like that they made that the movie that they were going to see. Um, but you explore it, uh, then get to a point where then you get the Batman Begins scene where he falls down the well. So they kind of incorporated multiple parts of um like taking the animated series, taking the Dark Knight series, taking the Tim Burton with Michael Keaton and combining everything together into one, which I knew they were going to do anyways, but I didn't know they were going to do it on that level. I thought they were going to kind of go like in an order, and then um you would know what movie you're in, but instead they kind of just combined everything together and made their own story out of it, which I think is like mind blowing. Uh to the point where after it was over, I was like, it feels like they could have done so much, so many more things. So, but cut to the movie and then the death of Thomas and Martha. Um, they used, instead of going the route of using the comic storyline where it was Joe Chill, they used in Burton one where it was Jack Napier. I believe that's his last name. Jack Nicholson's character that eventually becomes the Joker in the Michael Keaton Batman movies. Um, or the Michael Keaton Batman movie, first one. Which I really liked that they did that. I liked seeing that they made the two Jack and then you get to see young Oswald, younger Oswald Cobblepot. Um, I like that they both got tied to Carmine Falcone. Um, because that was like I think the whole thing in the comics was Joe Chill worked for Carmine Falcone, and then there was a whole uh like connection with um a whole connection with the mob and the Waynes and all of that, which pops up in like shows like Gotham. Um, so I really liked that part of the story. Um, when we jump to him training to become Batman, they use uh, Ra's al Ghul teaching him, wanting to make him a part of the League of Assassins, like they did the Nolan movies. Um, and yeah, see, this is what a script's good for. Then you don't blank because you have 80. Um, Nolan movies. Oh, and then I didn't play it two players. I played it by myself, but I liked that there was constantly another character, which is classic Lego game. But I wondered how they were gonna do it for a story like Batman, because Batman works alone a lot until he gets like Robin. When Robin comes up, then he gets a sidekick and that. But they made it in a way that we're always able to have a companion with you, and it made sense. So you're training with uh, the League of Assassins. Talia al Ghul is your companion, and the characters work the same during the prologue. So you just have your shurikens, and then the combat's the same. Um, Combat was awesome. The combat felt a lot like the Arkham games, which I think they were going for a lot. I'd seen a lot of people complaining that it wasn't like close enough to the Arkham games, but then I like to remind all of those people that this is TT Games making it and not Rocksteady Studios. Um, are the people behind the Arkham games. Uh, and that Squad kills Justice League. So, but it's two very different companies making uh making a combat system. So PT's intention was to make it feel like it, but not for it to be a one-on-one race. So that's my opinion. Um, so uh, but I liked that they did that whole storyline. I thought Raish was gonna pop back up later in the story, but apparently, uh, when you blow up base at the very beginning of that, that is the end of Raish Al Ghul. So pretty cool. Um, jump to him coming home, get to actually explore the Batcave, similar to what they did in the Nolan movies. But then find a car, which I think what they said in the game was that it was Thomas Wayne's old car, and Alfred souped it up, and then it cuts to Batman or Bruce spray painting it black and then turning it into uh the Batmobile from the Batman movie. Robert Pattinson's Batman. Which not a fan of that movie, not a fan of that suit, not a fan of that Batmobile. Just it didn't hit right with me. I didn't enjoy it like some people did. Um, I don't hate it. I like Batman, and I like the story that they were trying to tell, and I like that it was like a year one kind of thing, because you don't always get like a proper origin. Um, but I like that that's how they started it though. It felt like a good starting point. Um, get you getting to play alongside Jim Gordon for that first chapter. There's 6 chapters throughout the game for anyone that hasn't played it. Um, and each of them uh like references certain parts of um the different stories and uses certain bosses. So a lot of chapter 1 was Batman and Jim Gordon, um who was Detective Jim Gordon at the time, not Commissioner, uh, or Lieutenant or something. I'm pretty sure he was just detective. Um, but got to play as those two as you are getting to know Gotham. First off, they introduced like the Riddler, uh, just has puzzle boxes. And I'm going through his storyline right now. I'm very curious to see if once I do all of his storylines, if we actually get to physically see him, or if he's simply just um like a collectible character kind of. Uh, but getting to see the introduction of certain characters, getting to do the chase scene with Penguin that was in uh Robert Pattinson movie, uh getting to do like the proper beginning of Batman being him taking down Carmine Falcone, which is I think always should be origin of Batman is fighting the mob before he gets introduced to all of these like wacky characters. Because that's what I liked about last couple missions of that chapter was after defeating Carmine, it was a cutscene. Didn't get to fight him or anything, but you make your way through um the club, which happened to be the Iceberg Lounge. Uh and then you get to Carmine, and then you get to see um Jack, Red Hood, uh or Red Hood 1, I think is what they call him in the game, but it's the pill helmet Red Hood, which um I I believe an animated series thing. I remember seeing it in like the Killing Joke movie, One Bad Day kind of thing. I also know it's in the comics. I just haven't read those comics. But I like that that was like the final boss of that chapter was that, and then it created um him falling in the acid created the Joker, and then you go into the next chapter, and Batman evolves. He gets like an Batmobile, um, actual Batmobile, because it's not a car. Like it looks cool. Um, he gets upgraded to the Keaton suit, um, and then that chapter introduces you to Catwoman, and it is she's Del Pfeiffer outfit, uh, and you get to go through the different storylines because a lot of that had references to both the Keaton in it, because you had the Penguin pop up, you got to fight the Penguin in the zoo, you had Catwoman, so that was also from that movie. But the final boss of that was getting to go to the parade with the balloons and having that Joker pop up, um, with that makeup and that hair, and you got the scene at the end where he falls off of the helicopter, but instead of just dying, um, it uh he you see his face come up, and then he has the scars that are iconic to the Nolan's version uh, of Joker, that was played by Heath Ledger. And then voice changes too. He knocked out the the voice box that uh, Jack Nicholson's Joker had. Um, got I think what was the quote that he said? It was like, "What doesn't kill you only makes you stranger," and I thought that was really, really funny that they did it that way. Um, and then you get into chapter 3, and that did. I thought that the way that it was going to do because I knew it started with Haley Circus. I seen that in that first cutscene with Catwoman and Batman, and talked about the tickets to go to the circus, and I was like, okay, so this is chapter that introduces Robin and Beat. So I thought they were gonna go the route of it being Two Face and Riddler, which they didn't. I didn't realize they didn't do that. Instead, it was still Two Face, but he only was there for the uh the Haley Circus level. He was the reason that the circus was under attack, why Dick Grayson's parents died. They didn't actually kill them, but they made it so Dick got fired from the circus for messing a bunch of stuff up. But then later in the game, they also still made it sound like was like he had trauma at the circus. So um they kind of still reference that his parents died without actually killing them. Lego. Uh but I thought that was really cool. I that was one of the parts where I was like, I didn't really like the Tommy Lee Jones Two Face, so when they used that version of Two Face, uh, in the game, I was like, okay. But then he didn't pop up again throughout the game, so I didn't mind it as much. Uh, but I would have liked like a whole section with Two Face, and because I love villain wise, I love Two Face. I love his origin going from Harvey to becoming Two Face. I feel like they kind of just rushed that in one cutscene at the very beginning of the second chapter because he got like pie thrown in his face, and then people kept hitting that side of his face, and then that was the origin of Two Face. So it it's Lego, so I can't hate on it too much, and the game was amazing, so I can't hate on it too much. But that was one of the things that I would have been like, I think it would have been really cool if you did this version of it, even if it was like referencing the Nolan stuff and having him be a part of that chapter. Um, which I did get kind of disappointed at the end when I thought we were finally getting into Nolan movies, and then really, really short. Um, why I said the game could have probably been way longer, but I'm assuming they just didn't have time. Uh, but back to the Haley Circus thing, getting to get introduced to Robin and him not just feeling like a copy and paste Batman like some of the games did, and like Robin in the other Lego Batman games, and even Batman games in general, he played a little bit different. I'll use the Lego games for a good example. Is like Robin could do acrobat stuff, but aside from his acrobat stuff, he just Batman uh with extra steps. But I feel like a lot of the characters back then were like that, so lame. Um I like uh I like the route that they went with it. They didn't use like the Tony Zuko storyline, which is proper Robin, but the game wasn't about Robin, so it made sense that they would have used origin that a lot of people know, which is the Haley Circus opening from um, Batman Forever, which is why it's Two Face that attacks them. And uh, but him after I unlocked Robin, I felt myself playing as him a lot more than I was playing as Batman. Just because I loved the way he looked. He jumped around. He used his sticks to turn him into a staff and do puzzles with that. Um, he had his rope launcher, which was so cool. Um, his Birdarang, which you could bounce off of. Cool. Um, yeah, that felt like the old Batman games where you be able to lock on multiple things, throw your thing, and then it would go and come back to you. I just I really liked that. And then it jumped into introducing Poison Ivy as the main bad guy of or the main villain of Chapter 3, which I thought was cool anyways because that incorporated the Batman and Robin movie, but didn't have Freeze in it, which I was like, I thought for a minute, oh, maybe Mr. Freeze isn't in this game. And they're just gonna incorporate the Poison Ivy storyline. Cut to the end of Chapter 3 when you defeat Poison Ivy with Batman and Robin, to it being Mr. Freeze and Bane, voiced by Matt Berry on a roof, um, talking about and then introducing the next chapter, which started with animated Batman story or animated Batman opening that they legified, and so cool. Um, we got to see like a grown up Dick Grayson in the Robin outfit in that cutscene. I want to know if I'll be curious when I go back and do more collectibles and try and get everything if that outfit is an outfit that belongs to Robin in the game, so you'd have like the short version of Robin instead of the grown one, or if it's like a specialty Nightwing outfit. Um, I'd be very curious. But that being the one that introduced the animated series Batmobile, the animated series, um, and then introduced Batgirl as a character because I was so curious how they were gonna do Batgirl in that game because I know the movies haven't really done Batgirl. Only Batgirl that I know of from that I like grew up with is obviously the Batgirl and Batman and Robin, which I wasn't necessarily a fan of. I thought her outfit was like just she looked like Robin but a girl, and I didn't really like that because she's got the whole like Mark personality. She's Barbara Gordon. She's the son of Jim Gordon. Um, so I like that they introduced. She had her hacking ability. She had a drone that she could, which I mean her abilities weren't necessarily like fun by any means. They actually got a little repetitive after a while. But I liked that it was there. I liked that it made her unique and didn't just make her Batman but a female or Robin but a female. But you started with we got to see Firefly in that, which I didn't think they were gonna put Firefly in the game. Um, but they did, and that was really cool. That chapter I believe was a little bit shorter. It felt like as the story went on after chapter 3, the chapters got shorter and shorter because I think there was only like 3 missions in chapter 4. There was 2 missions in chapter 5. Neither of them had collectibles in them. And then the final chapter, chapter 6, was literally 1 mission, and then the game was over. Um, so it felt like it rushed more as it got through to the end. But no, I liked getting to see the characters grew up though. Um, at the end of chapter 4, uh, it introduces Nightwing. Because they were making references, jokes to it as chapter 4 was going on, as Batman was out with Batgirl. Dick was at home working on his new, and then we got to see it at the very end, and it was the Disco Wing suit, which I know that suit gets a lot of hate, and it's not my favorite. I have a favorite Nightwing suit. It is the Rebirth suit, but I think as like a starting outfit, because Dick is trying to get away from the Robin mantle, it works. It's out there, but it works. Um, so now when they introduced the fact that Nightwing was going to be like a separate character, I was weirded out because they introduced when I seen the character roster, I knew it was Batman, Batgirl, um, Robin, Nightwing, Gordon, and Talia. Uh, but I didn't know how they were going to do Nightwing and Robin as two different characters because I had assumed that they were the same, and I was right to assume they were both Dick Grayson. Um, so he had basically um, the same abilities, being the rope launcher and the Birdarang, except for now they were electrified, which basically means that as I've been exploring um, Gotham City and doing all the collectibles, anything that requires Robin to use, I've just been using Nightwing for because I prefer him over Robin. I like Nightwing as a character, like his outfit. Um, but so it, that would be maybe one of my pet peeves about it. It's not even a pet peeve. It's just one of the things I didn't really like about the characters is like here you have already on a game with a limited roster. Now you have two characters that do the exact same thing. Um, but they're also the same character, so I guess it makes sense. Um, I don't know how I would fix that either. Like maybe maybe if they had gone farther and they eventually introduced like Tim, then Robin's moveset turns into Tim's instead of Dick's. Um but then I don't know, I guess then that defeats the purpose of the what they were trying to do. Um so I don't know. I do know that after you finish, which I love the Barbara Gordon and Dick Grayson up that they did as well at the end. So you didn't. It was the first time that you weren't playing as Batman and another character um in the game. So after chapter 4 finishes, you defeat Mister Freeze, which they used the Arnold Schwarzenegger freeze, which I mean I assumed they would based on the rest of the game because they were making a lot more movie references than they were movie and TV references than they were to like comics, and don't think aside from like the Arkham games hasn't really gotten a like a proper um like movie appearance or animated appearance, something like that. I'm sure the animated series did something with it, but they also didn't really do a lot of animated series stuff. They just had the outfits and had the intro. But aside from that, that chapter had nothing to do with animated series, which I guess is something I would have liked to see. Maybe they could have, instead of doing Freeze, they could have done an animated series thing and then done Freeze in a different one, or did more animated series references and then did Mr. Freeze. Um, so chapter 5, which I got in the pattern of okay, each chapter is going to introduce the next companion. So I was like, okay, we have this. I thought maybe chapter 5 was going to have you playing with Batman and Nightwing because they had literally just introduced Nightwing at the very end. But then it turned out that uh, they introduced Talia, and they also introduced Tumblr because it was very heavily based off of Road to Dark Knight Rises, Dark Knight Returns. What was the one with the Bane? Bane. Da, 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 da. Dark Knight Rises. Oh, the Joker one is literally just called The Dark Knight. Okay, got it. I love Google. Is that gonna be a normal thing here? That's probably gonna be. Um. Oh, yeah. So they introduced um Talia during the Tumblr chase, which is when he's driving the car and he's chasing after Joker. Joker rocket launchers the Batmobile, and then you get the Batpod, which is my least favorite um interpretation of like the Batbike. Uh, the Tumblr is also probably my least favorite version. No, no, Robert Pattinson is that, but it's one of my least favorite versions of the Batmobile, just because looks too it looks too military, which I could say the same for a lot of like how Christopher Nolan did Batman. Which, don't get me wrong, one of the greatest series of all time. I love that. I It's not my favorite version of Batman though. Picking movies, I love Michael Keaton's Batman, and I love Val Kilmer's Batman. George Clooney was but it fit in the same concept of those movies felt like the comic book Batman. It had the villains, it had the wacky looking car, um, it had everything. So, and the characters, the villains. Um, so it wasn't my favorite, but that's what they used. And then we got something that got spoiled for me. Wish they didn't that as like a way to promote the game, was giving us the scene from the opening of Arkham Asylum, which one of the greatest gaming series of all time is the Arkham series. Arkham Asylum is like, it's small, it's not my favorite, but it was, I mean, for what it was back then and what it introduced, it's amazing. But I play City more often than I play Asylum when um and no, but I liked that they gave us that. Then they gave us the interrogation scene with the uh Ledger's Joker with the scars on his face. And that made me think, because then they did a jailbreak. Um and we got to see like Deathstroke and Condiment King back. Who defeated Condiment King with Robin in chapter 3. I think it might have been chapter 2 with, yeah, no, it was chapter 2 with Catwoman looking for Joker cards. That's right. Um, but it just introduced all of these random villains that obviously they didn't really know how to put into the game. They gave us Killer Moth, the worst version of Killer Moth, and they made fun of the fact that uh not a great villain, even though I'm pretty sure a lot of people would argue that, and I don't know enough about Killer Moth to say whether or not he's a good villain or not. But I know he gets a lot of crap for being a crappy villain. Um, so does Condiment King. So, but and then we got to see Scarecrow, um, with the Arkham version of Scarecrow, which made me think that we were going to get either either Scarecrow would have been a one off and it would have been like a level and then you defeat him at the end. But I thought that chapter 5 was going to be um all about Joker. Um like chasing down the Joker, trying to defeat the Joker and put him back. And then the fear segment ended. Um and then it had us go and then it had a cutscene where then you go to see Bane, and then you get the like um the whole darkness spiel in Matt Berry's voice, which means I couldn't take it seriously. But It introduces that he breaks the bat's back, and then we cut to like basically the end of the Dark Knight Rises movie, where now Bane's taken over, and um then you get to play as Nightwing and Batgirl as you chapter 6, the very last mission. So it felt like there could have been so much more, and then chapter 6 could have had more that led up to that final mission. Breaking Batman's back, I mean, was like guarantee. I knew that was gonna happen. Um, I just thought Bane would have gotten like his own separate chapter where he got everything, but he gets like a proper introduction right at end of chapter 5, which is like literally the second mission of chapter 5. And then you're instantly chasing him down, and then you instantly do a boss fight with him, and then it gets introduced that Talia is actually the main bad guy of the whole entire game, and then you have a fight with her. Um, so and like going through the level, there was way more stuff, I guess, but no one cares about the level part. They care about the story part, and when it comes to the story, me explaining it like it went by like that is literally what happened. Um, so it 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 could have ended better, but now that I'm going back through and I'm doing like the trophies and stuff and getting all the references and everything again, it's it's fine. It wasn't my favorite, but it's fine. Um, so one of the things I wanted to talk about that I completely forgot about was during chapter 3, they introduced a side activity called the Case of Waylon Jones, which for anyone that doesn't know, Waylon Jones is um uh real name of Killer Croc. And I didn't think they were gonna do a Killer Croc origin in a Lego game, because when you meet Waylon for the first time during that mission, he has looks like a normal person, but he's got the green eyes, and then he's got it looks like scales growing on and as I've been going through Case of Waylon Jones side activities, um, it's progressively more and more lizard like, or I guess crocodile like. Um, and I already got spoiled on the internet because TikTok and shorts and Instagram shorts are just the bane of my existence when it comes to. But I got to see that the last mission of the Case of Waylon Jones is full on Killer Croc, and I absolutely love that because Killer Croc is just he's such a cool character that doesn't have a lot done with him. I know like the pre-crisis um was the one that killed, I believe he was the one that killed Jason Todd's parents back when Jason was flying Todd's, which I know a lot of people like that storyline. I didn't like that it felt like a Dick Grayson copy, but um maybe that's why I thought I liked maybe that's why I thought Jason was my favorite for the longest time too. So I liked the acrobat storyline. Um but I like that they introduced a character I didn't think was gonna get introduced, and actually give him a story through the side activities. And that's what I didn't know. I thought the side activities were just gonna be um just collectibles and stuff like that, like normally. Um, but instead, there's like extra story. Um, so yeah, it was really cool, and I like all the different bat suits. I got the pre-order bundle, so I've been running around now. I was changing throughout the thing, and I used the classic suit for a while to like the black with the yellow emblem. And now I've been running around as Nightwing, just wearing the Rebirth suit. But I like that it felt like you could customize stuff, so you didn't necessarily miss out. Like we didn't get a whole character roster like normal Lego games, but instead we got tons of costumes for each of the characters. So, and then different vehicles and stuff. So right now I'm running around in all of the Arkham series stuff because you got the Arkham Knight outfit, and the Arkham Knight Batmobile with the pre-order bundle. My Catwoman is dressed up in the Arkham stuff. My Nightwing is not because I prefer the Rebirth version of Nightwing. I also like the Rebirth version of Batgirl with the purple and yellow instead of the black and yellow. Um, so, uh, so that I can finish this video up because I didn't realize we are at 46 minutes. I guess I'll talk about some of the things that I think would be cool is like DLC if they wanted to add it. Uh, one of those being like we didn't introduce Tim or Jason or any of the other Robins, so it's still set up that theoretically do that as DLC. But I would love an under the Red Hood style storyline that then introduces Red Hood as a character because I would like Jason Todd. I would also say that like hard to do because you have to like introduce him as a Robin first or skip over all the Robin stuff and just introduce him as Red Hood and then it defeats the purpose of it being Jason Todd. Um so that's iffy. I would say like I would love entire um an entire Bat Family storyline where it does do the intro of every single Robin and play as different Robins at certain points, but Batman game, it's not a Robin game. I can only hope. Uh, I thought about a Batman Beyond thing too, like going through getting to play a Batman Beyond storyline with Terry. But that's another thing is that you have to skip over a bunch of stuff that then introduce him, um, or you have to uh go through all of it, which is a lot of stuff to do. What they didn't introduce, which I thought they would, because there's collectibles for them, but the Court of Owls. I thought the Court of Owls would have popped up at some point because um they feel like such like a good part of Batman lore to use, especially for a Lego game. Um, because they could have been like puzzles and stuff like that, and who knows? Maybe I remember I haven't finished it like 100%. Maybe one of the side activities ends up leading to like a Court of Owls thing, and I'm completely wrong. But as far as I know, right now, there's no Court of Owls thing, and I think that would have made like an excellent chapter. Um, could maybe have introduced Talon. I don't know if they would have, but having a Talon outfit for Nightwing would have been cool. Uh, but I don't know. I think it would have been really cool if they did a Court of Owls story, even if it was just a activity like they did with Waylon Jones. Um, but to each their own. Uh, so there's my spiel on the oh so amazing Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight game and what I liked and what I didn't like, and I didn't realize that I could talk for 50 minutes about a video game. So maybe something. Um, I know that uh, I have also been playing the brand new James Bond game. I kind of want to get a little bit further before I sit down and talk about it, but I'm absolutely loving it. I have like a small little obsession with anything spy espionage related. Probably why I like the parts of D&D that I like as well. Which is another video I gotta do. I gotta talk about D&D. I love it so much. But that's not what this video is about, and gotten to the end of this topic. So, uh, I guess comment whatever you'd like. Give me more tips about how I could improve this, how I can do this. I have my camera right here, but I kept looking over here, so I might move the camera over to my other computer so I can watch OBS while I do it. Maybe I'll just swap and have OBS right here. I don't know. I don't like to look at myself talk necessarily, but I like to keep an eye on my timer. Um, so completely unedited. I have no intent of editing videos because I will then never post them because I'll never think about editing them. Um, I just so much more things to do, and I kind of just want to sit down, record a video, post it on the and if I eventually take off and can actually get this to go places, I will uh invest in like an editor to edit my videos and make them look way better than what this is. Or um we actually sit down and make a script so I don't ramble all the time. So I really do think that that's like a good way to do a YouTube video because it feels genuine, but maybe giving myself just a list of topics that I know I want to hit so then I'm not backtracking like I did with the Waylon Jones thing. Um but I don't know, just tell me how everyone's feeling about these videos. I know it's like maybe 4 people that are watching these right now, but who knows? You might come back and watch it or and let me if you have any ideas for topics, let me know topics I want to do. I know I want to get some of my buddies in on a video soon so we can like a back and forth. They can ask me questions about things, I can ask them questions. It kind of just like podcast style talking. And I will have another video out whenever I get a minute to record it, and it probably be James Bond. It might be D&D. Um, depends how long I feel like talking. So I'll catch you all in the next video. Bye bye.